Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody who is in the building early. All right. It's good to see each and every one of y'all. I hope you guys are having a good morning. If you guys can hear me, okay, y'all know what to do. If y'all are happy to be here, y'all know what to do. I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building. All right. We got Jay Bird in the house. Shout out to Jay Bird. We got Patricia Slade up in here. We got Denise Scales in the house. We got Solo T. We got Cameron Jones. We got DC Precise. We got Val Williams. We got Shamika Gray. We got Brooklyn Queen. We got Denise Scales. We got Wallow J. We got Val Williams. We got my man Cameron in the house. Let me see who else we got up in here. We got the bots. Shout out to the bots. The bots in here deep. You know what I'm saying? We got Vovo 2 Love in the building. Let me see. We got Carla. Shout out to Carla. Carla Lockhart. My man Hurricane IQ is in the house. Shout out to my man Extreme X. What's good with it, bro? B1. B1 to Torian. Shout out to Torian. We got my man John Guillory in the house. Mr. King is in the building. Katsy is in the house. We in here. Shout out to everybody, man. Good to see everybody. Smash that like button. All right. I want to ask you all some questions, and we're going to go on a little journey here. All right. My first question for everybody. Are black voters upsetting America by closing down the Democrats? Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. What's good with it, bro? Now, why do I ask that question? The reason why I ask this question is because the media can no longer ignore the fact that there are black people who are openly speaking out about being disgruntled with the performance of Democrats in left-wing politics, which is great. That's great. Now, what are some issues that you all think that might cause? Shout out to my man AB Promotion with the ducats. You know what I'm saying? My man says, Robb and BLR fam, what's good with it, bro? Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames for the first stream sponsor, my man AB Promotions. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you all feel that the population at large is dedicated to the lie on the screen? I believe that they're solely invested. They are invested. They are invested to the T. The dominant society needs us to perpetuate this narrative for them. There's never been a situation in the United States where black people have openly been anti-left-wing, anti-Democrat. This is a whole new phenomenon. New phenomenons, new problems. We're also seeing other political shifts. Shout out to Alvin Learning, B1, bro. Other political shifts. Young America has a very different opinion on geopolitics as it relates to, quote unquote, the Middle East in comparison with past generations. Would you guys agree? So there's a lot of political shifts that are going on. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If black people are starting to openly go in on Democrats, move away from Democrat politics, hold Democrats accountable, what's that going to do? I'm going to tell you a lot of what it's going to do. It's going to put a lot of far right and right wing media and social media personalities out of business. Let me ask you guys this. What's that AdSense going to be looking like for black conservatives when they can't run to their white audiences and tell them black people are voting Democrat? What are they going to do? How are they going to make some money? And I got to agree with Solo. If you guys agree with Solo, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. We in the black community need to show the Democrats that the world is correct. Facts. And I think that they're slowly finding out. All of these people. Shout out to everybody that was doing content about, what's that dude's name? Michael Rappaport, Remy. You call him by his other name, his alter ego name, Remy. I think Kid Gravity did a video about it. Shout out to Kid Gravity. Afro Elite did a video about it. Shout out to Afro Elite. This is what you're seeing. Now, here's the thing, right? As we begin to take control of our own destiny, as we begin to take control of our own political narrative and start to lay down the foundations for our own self-determined path, you're going to see more Michael Rappaports, because the entire United States was built on broken, black, deranged internal politics. They need us to be in disarray. They need us to not be on the same page. They need us to not be getting along. They need us to be at each other's throats about ideological differences that they created and built into the education and political system. They need that. That is the fuel that powers this machine. It only takes a wrench or even a screw or a nut or a bolt in the gears of a machine to cause a major malfunction. And people like Michael Rappaport, people like Remy, that rant that he was on, that rant is because he sees that malfunction coming. That malfunction is coming. And when that malfunction comes, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious. It's going to send the United States into multi-system failure, which is something that it could have avoided by just doing right by the people that it's done wrong by. It is what it is. You don't have time to save anybody when you're too busy being a villain. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Sunkiss. Shout out to Scoot for subscribing. Make sure y'all show Scoot some love. Torian said, and not just him, Rob, but others from that sector who were saying similarly the same thing. Yeah, and a lot of Twitter outrage. If it wasn't for us, you people wouldn't have any civil rights. Oh, really? Well, guess what? If it wasn't for us, a lot of slave ships, or if it wasn't for them, a lot of slave ships wouldn't have been built and sold either. You want to talk about that? It's funny how they bring that up. And honestly, if you ask me, a lot of what was going on, I don't have proof, so I don't want to say this is a definitive statement, but I think that their integration into what we had going on here was part of a larger military operation that probably predated COINTELPRO, but that's just a theory. That's just a theory. But I think my theory is pretty accurate, and if I ever needed to show proof of my theory, I'd be more than happy to. So I just made a mistake, right? And I just put the screen share on the wrong screen. But I'm going to act like it wasn't a mistake and say, we live. You know what I'm saying? So here's a question for you guys. How many people heard about the mayor of Clark, New Jersey? If you guys heard about this individual, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about this individual, then give me a thumbs down. I found this story very interesting. If anybody, shout out to Torian, Kid Gravity. If anybody did content on this and I happen to miss it, I apologize. I'm going to definitely have to check it out. But this is a story that people should pay very close attention to. This is a story that explains one of the reasons why, if you ask me, villainy is not a choice. Villainy isn't ultimatum. Okay. Mayor who used racial slur is charged with 2 unrelated crimes. Now, we're going to go all the way through this particular situation. We're going to go all the way through this particular situation. Okay. Mayor who used racial slur is charged with 2 unrelated crimes. The mayor, mind you, the leader of the city of Clark, New Jersey, who was taped using slurs, is accused of running his landscaping business from his township office and falsifying documents. Can we say value chain? Can we say value chain? The mayor of a small town in suburban New Jersey, who was recorded 4 years ago using racial slurs and saying he would never hire a female police officer, was charged on Monday with 2 unrelated crimes linked to his private landscaping business. So, again, this probably should have been part of the Laws series because this dude is a politician. But this is why it's important to pay very close attention to politics. You know what I'm saying? Sal Bonacorso, a Republican who for 6 terms has served as a mayor of Clark, New Jersey, gained notoriety after a police lieutenant secretly taped him using racial slurs to refer to black people. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many people are surprised by this? And now here's my question. If you put your thumbs down and you're not surprised by this, I want to know why you're not surprised by this. But remember, a majority group of people voted this individual into his position, which means that they agree with and support him and his rhetoric, which this is part of his rhetoric. Now, all of those people who say black people need to move away from the Democrats, right? I agree with that 100%. I want to know if you all feel that this particular individual represents the average Republican slash conservative slash right winger. If you guys think that this person does, give me a thumbs up. If you think that he doesn't, then give me a thumbs down. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 59 people watching. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us over 80, that'd be great. The recordings formed the basis of a $400,000 settlement with the lieutenant, who, according to an arrangement first disclosed last year by New Jersey Advanced Media, was permitted to remain on the payroll for 2 years without working in exchange for keeping quiet. Now, what kind of crap is that? What kind of crap is that? How does that make sense? I'm going to read this again. Sal Bonacorso, a Republican who for 6 terms has served as mayor of Clark, New Jersey, gained notoriety after a police lieutenant secretly taped him using racial slurs to refer to black people. The recordings formed the basis of a $400,000 settlement with the lieutenant, who, according to an arrangement first disclosed last year by New Jersey Advanced Media, was permitted to remain on the payroll for 2 years without working in exchange for keeping quiet. So he got a paycheck for 2 years to not report this or say anything about this. And I got to agree with Sunkissed. If you guys agree with Sunkissed, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Everyone should pay attention to how they get paid to harm us. Facts. The way that they get paid to harm us forms the basis of a lot of these value chains that I talk about. The criminal charges filed Monday against the mayor grew out of a state investigation into Mr. Bonacorso's racist and sexist comments, which were confirmed in a 43-page report released by the state attorney general's office. Okay, so his comments were confirmed in his 43-page report released by the state attorney general office. So now let me ask you guys a question. How does somebody like this get into a office in a position of authority? How does that work? How does that work? But charges were not directly linked to the recorded exchanges, which Mr. Bonacorso has acknowledged and apologized for. Mr. Bonacorso was charged with official misconduct and accused of using his township offices and Clark employees to help run his private landscaping and oil tank removal business. So now here's the thing, right? Somebody like this individual will tell us that we're lazy. The first thing that this person will say is that these people are lazy. You lazy people, you all don't do anything. We're hardworking, good Americans. Yeah, this person is working really hard, working hard to break the law, working hard to be a degenerate. Additionally, he is charged with foregoing an engineer's signature on permit applications to remove underground storage tanks. Okay, so now he's also committing fraud. This guy was elected to be the mayor. This guy was elected to be the mayor. So again, you got to ask yourself the question, damn, this guy has no ethical compass. Who would have voted him into office? And if they voted him into office, why don't they have a problem with his behavior? Why did he have to get caught by law enforcement? Probably because the people who voted him in still support him. Neither Mr. Bonacorso, whose term as a mayor runs through December 2024, nor his lawyers return calls for comment. So what I want you guys to understand is that this individual here is still the mayor. He's still the mayor. You know what I'm saying? The Office of the Attorney General, Matthew J. Platkin, opened an investigation into Mr. Bonacorso, who is 63, early last year under mounting legal and public pressure. Allegations of abhorrent language used to degrade crime victims, suspects, and prospective employees raised the alarm of potentially criminal policing and hiring practices. The report released Monday states. Too many in the community, the report added. The release of this report has been long overdue. So now let me ask you a question. If you have an individual like him as the mayor, what kind of policing do you think that the police department is doing in that community? That's my question. What are your expectations of the police? What do you guys think that the police are doing? Mr. Platkin called for the termination of Clark's police chief and a sergeant in the department who can also be heard on the tape and recordings and who remain on paid leave, but he acknowledged that he lacked the legal power to force them from their jobs. Now, here's the question, why not? So what I want you guys to understand is that them folks using their businesses can implement harsher criticisms and harsher consequences on Kanye West using their businesses and value chains than this attorney general can through political office. Which is another reason why, in addition to embrace villainy, we come with the solution. Extra political means are the gateway to power. Which is one of the reasons why I tell people the only kind of politics that you should support are the ones that support your extra political means. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. The recordings made clear that the township and police officials expressed views that suggested they encouraged bias-based policing and hiring practices, according to the report. Now, I may have to pull up this report. Yeah, I may have to pull up this report, and this report may actually have to be another stream. I know a lot of times I don't get to this stuff. I know I don't get to this stuff, but I think it's not a bad idea. Yeah, this is wild, man. There's a lot more to this than I knew about. So yeah, this report here is 43 pages. That might have to be a members only stream if I can. I'm gonna try it. It's just difficult. You know what I'm saying? Your boy ain't got time like that. But we could maybe put it on news reviews and reactions. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back down. So now here it says, still, Mr. Platkin said that his investigation showed that the confidential settlement with the lieutenant who recorded the mayor did not justify criminal charges, but did warrant departmental charges, including improved data collection and recorded retention and enhanced employee attendance policies. So now let me ask you guys this. Do you all now, the taxpayer dollars is paying this particular police officer $400,000 to not release the evidence of the mayor using these racial slurs. Okay, that's what was going on at the time. Okay, so now the question that I got for you guys is, how come Fox News didn't talk about this? Matter of fact, how come CNN didn't talk about it? How come not very many mainstream media outlets put the spotlight on this? That's the question. The Union County Prosecutor's Office seized day-to-day control of the Clark Police Department after getting anonymous letters in 2020 outlining the allegations surrounding the confidential settlement. At the time, 37 of the department's 39 police officers were white men, and it employed no female officers. The county prosecutor's office remains in control of the police department in Clark, which is 25 miles southwest of Midtown Manhattan and has a population of about 15,500. Okay. Racism doesn't exist. Now, here's my question, right? Racism allegedly, apparently, doesn't exist, according to many people, right? Racism is not baked into the fabric of the United States. Black people have said this. Black people like Tim Scott, Larry Elder, Candace Owens. But if racism is not, quote unquote, baked into the country, then how is it that you get elected officials that practice racism? How do you get that? That's my question for you guys. Please help me out with that one. How do you get that? How do you get elected officials running a municipality that practice the very practice that they claim doesn't exist? How does that happen? Make it make sense. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love to my man Edward Berry, who has been supporting the channel for 12 months. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat. Put some flames up there for him. Shout out to my man Ed. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, exactly, John. I thought we were in a post-racial America. Thank goodness we don't just take a lot of what these people say at their word. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. What's good with it, bro? So Let's go and check this out right here. Clark PD investigations enter a third year amid continued silence. How does that work? How does that work? Why is there so much silence surrounding these investigations? In the 2+ years that have passed since the Union County Prosecutor's Office first assumed control of the Clark Police Department, the town taxpayers have been asked without explanation to foot a bill of more than $780,000 to cover the salaries of 3 high-ranking officers who have been out on paid administrative leave since July of 2022. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why are these officers out on paid administrative leave? That's my question. What got them out on paid administrative leave? So now, again, when it comes to all these stories that we do about all these police departments, if these quote unquote wide spanning changes are actually occurring, then why is it that damn near every week we got 2 or 3 stories of the same kind of stuff going on at the police station, at the good old station? I should make a whole new series, brand new intro and everything, called The Station. Yeah, these guys aren't at the station, they're on vacation. If you commit racism at one of these police stations, you will be on paid vacation. You know what I'm saying? Somebody make it make sense. And while the state attorney general's office took over the responsibility, so I want you guys to understand that Clark Police Department is so corrupt, it's not even being ran by Clark Police. It is being ran by the state attorney general's office. If your police department gets taken over by the state attorney general's office, my question is, what does that mean about that police department? And while the state attorney general's office took over the responsibility for any ongoing investigations related to the department in April of this year, the UCPO is still in charge in Clark, and state officials are refusing to talk. So, why are the state officials refusing to talk? We're just not going to talk about this. We can't be bothered to talk about this. Why aren't they talking about this? We can't talk about it. You know why they're not talking about it. In response to a recent request for information by Union County Hawk, the Attorney General's office said only on April 7th of 2022, the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability within the Attorney General's office assumed the investigation into the leadership of the Clark Police Department and Township. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Is anybody surprised that with a mayor like the mayor of Clark, that the police department is operating in this way? Oh, I agree. If you guys agree with AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with AB, give me a thumbs down. AB says, Rob, I can almost bet those officers all make 6 figures. I bet. Facts. Absolutely. The Union County Prosecutor's Office was directed to maintain their supervision authority over the Clark Police Department until further notice. The investigation is ongoing and no further information is being released at this time. Several details surrounding the UCPO's initial involvement in Clark came to light earlier this year when media outlets around the country reported that a series of clandestine recordings made by Lieutenant Antonio Manata of the Clark Police Department between 2018 and 19 captured racially charged remarks made by Clark Mayor Sal Bonacorso, Police Chief Pedro Matos, and Internal Affairs Sergeant Joseph Teston. Now, remember, Internal Affairs is supposed to be the branch of the police department that's investigating all this stuff. And he's right there with them talking crap. Right there with him talking crap. Is anybody surprised? You got the mayor, you got the police chief, and you got the internal affairs boss. Let me ask you guys this question. After finding all of these findings, do you all feel that every person who submitted black paperwork, not only to the city, but anybody who was dealt with by this police department, should get everything that they went through reevaluated? Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug, the second stream sponsor, with the $5 super chat. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat and some flames for him. My man Win Loser Rug says, man, they were living the working man's dream. 3 years off with paid leave. Wow, bro, facts. They had enough time in 1 year to take a vacation, a staycation, and a slaycation. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Manata, along with his then attorney, Patrick Toscano, compiled the recordings as part of a lawsuit they intended to bring against the township in 2019. The lawsuit, which named Captain Vincent Consina as a defendant, was settled out of court before it was filed. The UCPO, then under the leadership of acting county prosecutor Lindsay Ruotolo, announced its intentions to take over the department in July of 2020 amid, as it said at the time, credible allegations of misconduct involving leadership. Yeah, you think? I'm pretty sure that's virtually been confirmed. I'm pretty sure that's been confirmed. You know what I'm saying? The 3 officers listed in Mr. Manata, drafted lawsuit were placed on immediate paid suspension. Immediate paid suspension, but they haven't dealt with this immediately. They've been on paid suspension, like it said here, for 3 years. And while the UCPO said that it planned to launch a full inquiry into the nature of these allegations, neither that inquiry nor any other has ever been disseminated. That means that nothing ever happened. Is anybody shocked? But remember, though, all we do is sit around and play victim and act like victims, and we're just victims. Don't stop complaining. We just stop complaining. Turn this live stream off right now. There's nothing but nonsense. All you people do is complain. If you worked hard like we do at breaking the law and taking over everything so that we can cover our own tracks, then you'd be doing good like us too. Facts. If you guys agree with Deneen, y'all know what to do. Covering up racism is a good gig. Yeah, it's also an equal opportunity employer. You know what I'm saying? In response to a request for information submitted by Hawk in February of this year, the UCPO said that it had no responsive records to share in regards to the prosecutor's office promised investigations, which means that they haven't done anything yet. It should be noted that the UCPO did not deny the request outright, but instead noted that no such records existed, which basically means that none were produced because they haven't done anything, which they don't plan on doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think that people should be surprised by this, because we all know that that particular group of people has cultural racism baked into their culture. So they got a lot of racial slurs, a lot of people that live on the East Coast. You'll be dealing with some Italian people that's darker than you, and they'll be running around saying the N-word and trying to say every single N-word that they possibly can, and trying to be as cool with as far right of people and racist as they possibly can. Y'all know how it go. Look at how the mafia behaved themselves. That's one thing a lot of people overlooked when watching those mafia movies about how it's a family tradition to be racist, and as well as how it's a family tradition to never sell or do any of the crimes in their own neighborhoods. They would always bring the crime to the black neighborhoods. And when somebody like Nicky Bonds or Frank Lucas arises, somebody like Bumpy Knuckles, they don't even want us committing and controlling the crime in our own neighborhoods. They want to control it. The police and the mafia. The police, anybody watched American Gangster, if you got your mind in the right place, what you should have saw is the police. Well, first of all, since America's a country of immigrants, right? Democrats, right? Black voters closing down the Democrats. Since the United States is a country of immigrants, if you watched American Gangster, what you should have saw is Irish immigrant police officers in New York City and Italian mafia immigrants in New York City getting on code to try to stop a foundational black American, Frank Lucas, from doing his thing. And guess what? They still use that same business model. They still use that same business model. You know what I'm saying? So now, here it says in April, meanwhile, Mr. Mineta and his new attorney, Valerie DeLucy, filed in suit federal court, both the Attorney General's office and the UCPO, citing retaliatory behavior and mismanagement by both Ruotolo and the office as a whole. According to information provided by the New Jersey Department of the Treasury Division of Pension and Benefits, Mr. Mineta was set to officially retire from the force and start collecting his pension of $7,569.90 on March 1st, but said Ms. DeLucy, since the prosecutor's office was still actively investigating Mr. Mineta's record of work, the payments do not have to be released until the investigation is complete. I believe this ongoing investigation into my client is retaliatory in nature, Ms. DeLucy told Hawk in April. I believe they are targeting my client. They want to discredit the messenger, and I think they are in direct violation of New Jersey's whistleblower laws. The ongoing federal suit claims that both UCPO, now led by William Daniel, and New Jersey State Attorney General's office, now led by Matthew Platkin, failed to do their due diligence in looking to hold either Mayor Bonacorso or the 3 suspended officers accountable for their actions. If you ask me, they all should have been held accountable, because let's just keep it a buck. This quote-unquote so-called whistleblower, the only reason that whistleblower had an issue with anything going on was probably either because his money was funny or he had some issues at the police department. And he said, you know what? I got to figure out a way to make life a little bit easier for me. I got old boy over here. I got him on tape. I got old boy over here on tape. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to record this. And once I record this, I'm going to tell them, this is the shakedown. Y'all pay me XYZ amount of money, and I don't turn this tape into the media. And they said, bet. Somehow the tape still ended up getting turned into the media. Now everybody's in trouble, and he's mad. Well, you should have told him. You should have told that first. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't, though. You chose not to. Real quick, I didn't even see Lloyd Sky 9. Shout out to my man Lloyd Sky 9 for being a member for 9 months. Make sure you guys throw some flames and radiation emoji in the chat for Lloyd Sky 9, and also for Catsy. Make sure you guys show Catsy some love, being a member for 13 months. Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Toya, give me a thumbs up. Shout out to you, by the way, Toya. Jersey is corrupt AF. Facts. You know what I'm saying? New Jersey mayor at the center of racism scandal, charged with public corruption. So now, again, like I said, just to reiterate, he's already got this ongoing racism scandal going, right? But remember, racism doesn't exist, but he's got a racism scandal going on nonetheless, right? AG Platkin calls for firing of Clark police chief, calling him unfit to serve. They've got all kinds of corruption going on in this little city. All kinds of it. You know what I'm saying? And again, how many mayors and politicians are there like him in the United States? Look at Nuri Martinez out there in California. You know what I'm saying? The state attorney general's office accused a Republican mayor in Union County Monday of abusing his office by using public resources to operate his private landscaping business, actions the state says investigators uncovered while they were probing allegations of racism within the town's police department. So they found out about this landscaping hustle while they were doing this probe about the racism. Now, here's a question, right? Mayor Eric Adams has been all over the national news, and he's only got accusations going on. They actually got facts about this. Let me ask you guys a question. What have you seen more of? Them talking about Eric Adams and his quote-unquote questionable campaign funding practices, or this verified idiot right here? Make it make sense. Attorney General Matthew Platkin announced the charges against Clark's longtime mayor, Sal Bonacorso, during a press conference where Platkin also released a scathing 43-page report alleging police brash of violating the department's regulations and criticizing Bonacorso and the town's police chief for making disturbing racist comments caught on secret recordings. We have so many recordings. So many recordings. And yet and still, you have people trying to justify this kind of behavior. How do you justify this? There's only one way that you can justify this. If this is ingrained into your cultural practice and you see absolutely nothing wrong with it, which when it comes to a lot of Americans, if you ask me, that's exactly the situation. That is exactly the situation. Make no mistake. You know what I'm saying? There is a social contract that imposes an expectation that officials in positions of government and law enforcement leadership will do the right thing and not act in self-interest, but in service to the greater good and treat all people with respect and dignity as equals, Platkin said. These are not naive ideals or lofty ambitions, but rather the bare minimum expectations communities should have in their leaders. The leaders in the Clark Police Department and the township more generally failed to keep up their end of that bargain. Platkin's investigation stems from allegations dating to 2020 when the town, look at this, allegations dating to 2020 when the town, now mind you, the town agreed. The town agreed to pay $400,000 to settle a lawsuit with the police lieutenant to avoid the release of secret recordings of Bonacorso and police chief Pedro Matos using racist and misogynistic language. So I want you guys to pay very close attention. When they say the town agreed, what does that mean? What do they mean when they say the town agreed? That's pretty important, right? Because they're saying that the town agreed. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 70 people watching and we got 62 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us over 100, that'd be great. The long-awaited report says there is no evidence of criminal misconduct stemming from the racism of the investigation, which, again, aren't you supposed to swear into certain ethical expectations? And if you are found to have lied, swearing, like taking an oath, I was pretty sure that there's some type of punitive repercussions for that. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty sure that that's how that works. Shout out to Roots Trackers. What's good with it? But officials, look at this. Officials recommended terminations for 2 police officials anyway, including Matos. Platkin said he did not have the authority to fire them. So now here's the question, who does? Now, mind you, he's the prosecutor. Who has the authority to fire them if he can't? Who's supposed to do it? That investigation exposed the mayor's alleged wrongdoing, state investigators say. While acting as mayor, Bonacorso, 63, used municipal resources by storing records related to his landscaping business, Bonacorso and Son, in the mayor's office and using township devices like computers and fax machines for the private business, state officials said. He also directed township employees to perform work of the business, according to Platkin. Now, let me ask you guys a stupid question, but just to get it on the record here. Shout out to Wilson's 4. What's good with it? Is what he did illegal? That sounds pretty damn illegal to me, doesn't it? And real quick, you all, if you all have not done the survey about the notifications, I don't know if it's still available or not. Please take a moment and do that survey. Also, if you're not getting notifications, make sure that you hit the link for the Discord that's in the comment section pinned. Okay. Platkin's office also alleges that Bonacorso improperly removed hundreds of underground storage tanks in nearly 24 towns starting in 2017. What was he doing with all of this stuff? Shout out to Bronze and God. What's good with it, bro? What was he doing with all this stuff? That's the question. What was he planning on doing? It claims not only that Bonacorso did not have the necessary permits to perform this work, but that he also fraudulently used an engineer's name and license number and forged a signature on permit applications without the engineer's knowledge. Mind you, again, this is the mayor doing this. This is the mayor doing all of this. This guy's supposed to be the quote-unquote leader of the community. Platkin's office also alleges Bonacorso misrepresented to the towns where he formed this work that the engineer was the on-site supervisor. Plus, after Bonacorso learned of the state's investigation, look at this. After Bonacorso learned of the state's investigation, he told a witness to provide false information to state investigators, according to the complaint. Now, mind you, again, like I said, this dude's still the mayor. He's still the mayor. Bonacorso is charged with, these are the charges: official misconduct, record tampering, witness tampering, falsifying records, and forgery. He faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted. His attorney did not respond to comment. Now, look at this. Bonacorso apologized for the racist comments heard in the secret recordings, but resisted calls to step down. Then he was reelected in 2020, and his term expires next year. So knowing all of this, the people still reelected him. Let me ask you guys a question. Was this coming out an improvement to his electability? If you ask me, it probably was. Because when people find out that these politicians hold these kind of views, they can relate to it, and it stokes those internal flames of endearment, and they'll stand behind this person unapologetically. The Clark Police Department has remained under the control of the Union County Prosecutor's Office and Platkin's office since July of 2020. Platkin said both agencies took painstaking care to thoroughly investigate all aspects of the case. The report recommends two men, Matos and Sergeant Joseph Teston, be terminated. Now, mind you, if I'm not mistaken, Joseph Teston was the supervisor of internal affairs. Yo, shout out to Deneen. Deneen is asking a good question. Can we get somebody to do a charity data check for us? Deneen says, I wonder what the demographics of the city are. If somebody could look up the demographics of the city and put them into the comment section, that'd be great. Our findings render them unfit to serve as law enforcement, and I'm calling for their immediate termination, Platkin said. Now, mind you, the prosecutor's calling for their immediate termination. Nothing's happened yet. Okay? Nothing's happened yet. Now, my question to you guys is, what do you all think is going to happen? And if I'm not mistaken, the name of this city is Clark, New Jersey. Clark, New Jersey. Shout out to Torian. Clark, New Jersey. Shout out to Toya. Toya says, as a native, I can tell you that Clark is Italian. I bet you Buddy's Cake Shop is there. No, that's in Hoboken. So now here it says state investigators claim Matos failed to conduct an internal affairs investigation. Look at this. This is what Matos did. State investigators claim that Matos failed to conduct an internal affairs investigation, did not self-report allegations of misconduct, and violated standards of conduct related to the derogatory comments caught on the recordings. Platkin said that Matos lied to investigators during internal affair proceedings. And remember, internal affairs was one of their buddies who was also in trouble. So again, this also tells you that when the police, quote unquote, claim that they're tightening these things up. Shout out to Prince of Paraphernalia. What's good with it, bro? When the police claim that they're tightening things up, or when the Democrats say, well, we've come up with this initiative to quote unquote tighten things up, they're not tightening anything up. We keep seeing a repeat of the same thing. Why are you telling us to send these cases to internal affairs, and internal affairs has the same police officers as the ones who are out there deleting people and brutalizing people? The internal affairs in the police department, all they do is take the conduct investigation file, sit it on a desk somewhere. Once it collects dust, throw it away and say the investigation is closed in most cases. Oh, shout out to Torian. Torian, you said you posted the demographic. Okay, here's the demographics. Everybody throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Torian. Appreciate it, bro. Here's the demographics of Clark, New Jersey. 95.61% white, 0.3% African American. 0.1% Native Indigenous, Native American, 2.75% Asian, 0.63% from other races, and 0.69% from two or more races. They only got 0.3% African Americans, and that's the entire totality of who they're focusing on in this town. Okay? So now here it says investigators obtained a recording of Matos. Look at this. Investigators obtained a recording of Matos using a common racial epithet with a subordinate. The report calls his comment reprehensible, made worse by the disturbing context. He was referring to school children from Plainfield who had claimed they were the victims of a hate crime. Matos knew at the time that the children reasonably believed that a hate crime occurred, the report says. The recordings were first published by the New Jersey Advocate Media, which revealed the town's $400,000 settlement. The report does not recommend any charges related to the settlement, saying town officials who agreed to it can reasonably argue they were following the advice of their attorney when they agreed to the deal. Monday's report also alleges that while on paid leave, Teston was arrested at a sporting event in New York for striking a stranger in the head with a glass bottle. So, I mean, we really have a rowdy group of ruffians here. Off-duty cop who should be out of a job cop. The report doesn't state the charge, which was eventually dropped, but says it would have been a charge of aggravated assault in New Jersey. His actions demonstrate a troubling level of poor judgment and, frankly, a lack of respect for human life, the report states. The report touches on allegations. Okay, so you guys ready for these allegations? On allegations that Clark police improperly pull over black drivers. Mind you, only 0.3% of the population. Only 0.3. Now, I wonder if 0.3% of the population is responsible for 55% of the crime in that city. The report doesn't state the charge. I'm sorry. The report touches on allegations that Clark police improperly pull over black drivers more than white motorists. The Division on Civil Rights, which is within the Attorney General's office, will review preliminary data revealing the stark racial disparities in traffic stops in the town. The report found that 44% of the people arrested during traffic stops in Clark were black. 93% of the town's residents are white. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What does that tell you about how policing is done in that town? What does that tell you about how policing is done in that town? That sounds like Jason Aldean should have recorded Tried in a Small Town in Clark, New Jersey. If you guys think that Jason Aldean should have recorded Tried in a Small Town in Clark, New Jersey, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, then give me a thumbs down. I think he should have, or at least done a concert there, because I mean, this is clear. This is exactly what they're talking about. Try being black in a small town. 15,000 people on the East Coast. That's a small town. Platkin noted township officials could face additional civil investigations. The State Office of Attorney Ethics, the State Comptroller's Office, and the Division of Pension and Benefits will continue investigating aspects of the case. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually listen to the recordings. All right. There's an article here from NewJersey.com. And this article is kind of long. If you guys want me to put it in the Discord for you guys to read, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't want me to put it in the Discord for you guys to read, then give me a thumbs down. I think this would actually be a pretty good read. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So hopefully sometimes there's too many characters in the hyperlink for the chat. All right. So if you guys want this in the Discord, let me know. Rob on a typewriter over there. I'm trying to sound like how you be sounding, Torian. I'm trying to punch them keys like how you be punching them. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to swagger jack you, bro. Hold on real quick. I'm about to throw it in here real quick. All right, so if you guys this man, y'all got to look at this picture of him on that this thumbnail pulled up in the Discord, man. This dude looked like Rodney Dangerfield. This dude looks like Rodney Dangerfield. They don't never show me any respect. You don't deserve any respect. What you deserve is to be fired. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm about to try to see if I can find this recording because I'm pretty sure they had it on here somewhere over here. Ah, yeah, here it is. Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna listen to this real quick.
Come on, let's go. Don't do that so loud. Hang the spokes of it. And an ALJ incident all over. Oh, that was so. That was stone. What part of that? Well, how about I had to go to the Plainfield council meeting, but a room full of them, and get up and talk about it?
The news thing you got with the central box is full on bullshit.
What's it?
The dummy and the investigation.
Evidence, everything in the heart of evidence.
It's got its own box. So depending on how much.
I'm thinking about reopening that case.
Why?
Because I'm included in.
That guy from Miami texted me. Huh?
What spook were you guys chasing around? The red shirt?
Today?
Yeah.
So he was chasing somebody?
They was looking for some spook walking around or something.
Dude, I've been busy. I'm sorry. I've been.
We have female lockers in there?
No, that's a bit here.
It's in there.
No, here on the plane.
Right, we have 10.
That's here.
Yes.
That's fine.
10 is even too much. Well, we have dispatchers.
No, that's fine. The female, I think, is fine.
We're doing it in such a way that there's a partition there that you can move that partition.
This partition.
Correct. In the future, take that one down, you move it, you make the rooms a little bit larger.
What did dispatchers do with their clothes down when they come in?
They have lockers in the bathroom.
They have lockers in the bathroom, so they need a locker.
Yes.
As far as female cops go, I hope there's never any, but I can only get around here. They're all disasters. And
1,
I've
2,
seen
3, 12. You're looking at 15 by 1, 2, 3.
All right, so there's that. So now here's my question. What'd you guys think of that not so shocking phone call? Shout out to Mastermind Hour. What's good with it, bro? What did y'all think about that not so shocking phone call? The guy in Chicago hiding body parts from, was that dude's name Arthur Rathburn, or was he somewhere else? Because there was this place called Biological Resources Center, and the place called Biological Resources Center, they were hiding a lot of quote unquote body parts. So it was going down in Madison, Wisconsin. How many people heard about what happened in Madison, Wisconsin? If you guys heard about what went down in Madison, Wisconsin, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. Now, this quietly went on, right? Because things quietly occur when the mainstream media decides to just say, well, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about this. We don't want to talk about this. This is going to make us look bad. We don't want to talk about this. I'm going to start using some different terminology to see how things play out. Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it, bro? There was a quote unquote heritage parade in Madison. Now, I want to know what do you guys think a quote unquote heritage parade looks like? The original BLR channel is still there. Not the Blood Tribe, but the similar folks, their cousins, maybe a satellite group. If you guys agree with Denise or AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If you guys got a different idea, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah, what Wallow is saying. Well, this is what they were doing. This is what they were doing in Madison on Saturday. Neo-Nazis marched in Madison on Saturday. Here's what happened and here's what didn't. A group of nearly 24 neo-Nazis waving swastika flags, so Wallow was extremely close. You know what I'm saying? What didn't Wallow say KKK flags? Yeah, shout out to Wallow. Wallow said KKK flags. He was close. They had the swastika flags. You know what I'm saying? And it says that they were, quote unquote, chanting anti-Semitic rhetoric, because we all know that the only thing that they do that matters is as it pertains to anti-Semitism. That is the only thing that group does that matters. Now, I didn't know about this. Shout out to Torian. Torian said that the Blood Tribe was marching on the it says right here that the Blood Tribe was marching on the Wisconsin state capitol. When did this happen? November 18th. We can look at that. Do you guys want to look at that? If you guys want to look at that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. Here's the facts about what happened. What did the neo-Nazi group do during the march? The group marched up to Madison's iconic pedestrian thoroughfare, State Street, that connects the University of Wisconsin-Madison campus with the Capitol Square. They stopped outside the State House near the building's south entrance about noon Saturday, where they remained for about 30 minutes before marching towards a nearby Madison Park. Group members chanted this particular phrase right here, and then they threatened that there will be blood, and then they shouted racial slurs at bystanders while marching. So now they're asking, what is the Blood Tribe group? Okay, so maybe this is the Blood Tribe. Maybe this was the Blood Tribe. Maybe you must have been right, Torian. Demonstrators at Saturday's march were part of the quote-unquote Blood Tribe, a right-wing neo-Nazi group with hardline white supremacist views. Which, I mean, that doesn't sound very far-fetched from just the regular American person. Torian said they bypassed paying me a visit. That's hilarious. Probably would have been the last thing they paid. Now it's funny, right? Like look at the look at the style of the writing and stuff like that on the clothes that they wear. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? The group led demonstrations nationwide in 2023, including hateful protests at a July Pride in the Park event in Watertown. Neo-Nazis brandished rifles, displayed swastikas, and hurled homophobic slurs and threats at LGBTQ plus people during the event. I saw social media posts saying that the group was affiliated with Antifa. Is that true? Now, here it says no, right? But what I want y'all to do, it says that these Nazi groups aren't affiliated with Antifa. I want y'all to go and look up the history of Antifa and look at their symbols, right? And then look up a lot of the symbols that the Nazis used. And then don't forget, right? Now they're calling this Nazi group a right-wing group, right? Because I want y'all to understand something. The left wing does the same thing with Nazis that the right wing does with the KKK. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. This is how they take both sides of the argument. The right wing will say, well, the KKK and the Dixiecrats, it was the Democrats that had slaves. The Democrats had slaves, you see. And the Democrats will sit there and say that the Nazis are right wing. But we all know that Nazi is German for National Socialist. What wing of the political spectrum are socialists on? You know who's a socialist? Bernie Sanders. You know who's a socialist? AOC. So I want y'all to understand the Democrats do the same thing with Nazis that the right wing does with the KKK and with slavery and the slave owners. And why is that? Because all America is dirty. Yeah, they like to do the all lives matter thing. All dirt matters. So now here it says, no, there's currently no evidence to claims the neo-Nazi group was associated with left-wing anti-fascist group Antifa, as some social media replies suggested. This is a common falsehood used to divert blame at events led by white supremacists and right-wing extremists, including the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, except for the fact that Nazis are socialists. Aside from that small fact. You know what I'm saying? Additionally, there's no available evidence that the group consists of federal agents or quote unquote the feds, as some users claimed on social media. Who led Saturday's demonstration? Christopher Polhas, nicknamed Hammer, is the Blood Tribe's leader and a former U.S. Marine. Polhas was one of two unmasked figures at Saturday's neo-Nazi march. Now, here goes my thing, right? I don't understand the need for the government. Like this, when people say that this is related to the feds and all this stuff, why is it that when it comes to these white supremacist organizations, immediately people come out and say that it's the government or it's feds or it's crisis actors? But when it came to like Jam Master Jay and NFAC, that was just some rogue, crazy black, like he's just a rogue, crazy, for real black man. And they're raising every single black boy to be like him and have all these guns all the time all over the place. Why is that? That's why, and that guy's family, Torian, that dude's family was part of militias and he was ex-military. And notice how they didn't talk about any of the militias that he was a part of, and they didn't say anything about his manifesto. So now here it says Polhas, formerly from Texas, founded the group in 2021, according to the ADL. He was present at other Blood Tribe neo-Nazi events in 2023. In 2022, Polhas purchased 10 acres of land in Maine to construct a white supremacist encampment. The Bangor Daily News reported that Polhas sold the land in October due to public pressure, but Polhas says that he owned larger plots elsewhere in the state. So now the question that I got to ask is, how did this dude got so much money to own all this land? Where's he getting all this money from? That's the question. Where's he getting all the money from? Were the demonstrators from Madison? It's impossible to say for sure, but available evidence suggests that the group came from outside the city. Now, let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to situations like this, in most cases, does it seem like these groups come from outside of the city? Now, here goes my question. Why is it that the same group of people that say that this could have possibly been crisis actors and the feds, how come nobody from that group of people said that Jam Master Jay was part of the feds? How come that group of people don't say that the new Black Panthers is the feds? Anytime it's something that shines them in a bad light, oh, it's got to be somebody else that did it. That's what I want to know. I want to know why the group of people that never makes content about their own shortcomings and failures sits there and talks about us, the group of people who are most overly critical of ourselves to a detriment. There's far more social media content and posts and videos of Black people criticizing other Black people than there are of other groups. And trust me, other groups are very criticism worthy. So my question is, where's that content at? Shout out to Denise Scales. Denise says FBA are the moral compass of the world, and I think that that's something that we need to stop doing that. It's not our job to do that. It's not even our job to have morality at all. It's our job to secure our survival by any means. That's it. As long as we are the moral compass of the world, there's no incentive for other groups to get their morality together because they know that they can always refer to something that we did. The group of people that has the most oppressive dictators, the most genocidal maniacs in history is literally looked at as the world's group of perfect people. Are you serious? You know what I'm saying? Stalin didn't come from us. Hitler didn't come from us. None of those people came from us. The only people that we have a responsibility to show morality to is each other. And as long as we're over critiquing ourselves, it's difficult for us to show morality to ourselves. I think the reason why I say that, Torian, is because when I say we need to not be the moral compass of the world, what I mean is our morality should be self-centered. The reason why people look at us as the moral compass of the world is because they understand that we have a quote unquote outward caring relationship where our actions benefit. Yeah, Leopold facts. Shout out to Tone. What's good with it, bro? Where our actions benefit other people more than they do, and we just do it as some type of sacrifice. That's got to stop. That's what me and Keep It 100 were talking about when we were talking about slave morality and master morality. How many of y'all saw that that live stream that I did? Shout out to Keep It 100 when Keep It 100 came on there and we talked about slave morality, master morality versus slave morality. I'm gonna see if I could I'm gonna see if maybe me and Keep It 100 can do like a series where we break down that entire philosophy. Because if you ask me, and we talked about this, master morality and slave morality were the OG founding ideas that kind of guide the direction of left and right wing politics. So I'm gonna ask y'all this: if I'm saying that, right? If I'm saying this, that slave morality and master morality are the OG, right, of master morality, right, and slave morality. My question for you guys is, what political party practices master morality and what political party practices slave morality? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show my man Lloyd Sky 9 some love, the 6th stream sponsor with the $5 super chat. Definitely appreciate it, bro. Lloyd Sky 9 says, agreed. Slave morality is a B, ain't it? Deep introspection is needed as a whole on that basis. Facts. I agree 100%, bro. 100%. People need to really read about that philosophy and then sit back and think very deeply about it. And not to feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. If you've been somebody that has unknowingly been practicing slave morality, don't feel bad about it. It should be expected that the programmed mode of operations for someone who's a descendant of slaves to practice slave morality, which is one of the reasons why you see the privilege, aka master morality. Because in this country, there's descendants of slaves, and then there's descendants of masters. Now, do you think those psychological personality schemas have been passed down from generation to generation, and it may determine how people behave themselves and how they carry themselves in society today? And now with these things built into people's personalities, there's no need for slavery because everybody is on autopilot. So what I would suggest is to turn the autopilot off, turn cruise control off. And start using the manual again. Make thought processes manual again. Would you guys agree? Make thinking manual again. So I don't think we need to read any more of this because this is kind of lame. It's kind of boring. We already got the gist. This is what these people do. They try to intimidate people, showing up all over the place, dressed funny. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares because it's just not that exciting. Nothing that they're doing. If some white supremacists come through, it could have at least been some ones with some nice Harley Davidson bikes, but these dudes just had on goofy masks. You know what I'm saying? And now, the feature presentation. Your boy Joe Biden is out here looking goofy. He's scrambling to reassure black, and as you can see here at this headline, Latino, black and Latino voters. And some of them are asking if the wealth gap can be fixed. Well, my question is, which wealth gap? Now, I believe that the racial wealth gap can be fixed. The only people that will like my solution are us, which are the only people that it matters if we like it or not. Because nobody gave us a choice about whether we like being descendants of slaves. Nobody gave us our parents a choice of whether they like Jim Crow or not. So I'm not really interested in anybody else's opinion on our choice on how we do this. The only thing that I'm interested in is getting it done. Would you guys agree that that's the right approach? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, here's my question. I want to know from you guys if you all feel that the racial wealth gap can be fixed. Now, I don't believe that the racial wealth gap can or will be fixed by the United States government or by the United States taxpayers. The only people who have a vested interest in fixing the racial wealth gap, and also the only people who have the intelligence and the means and the motive to fix the racial wealth gap, is us. It's in every other group of people's benefit for the racial wealth gap to remain as large as possible, as well as to continue to expand. We have to understand that. So what we're dealing with is we're dealing with antagonistic entities at the other side of the table. These are not our friends. Joe Biden is not our friend. None of these other people are our friend as far as these people that are talking about this politically. We have a racial wealth gap problem, and yet when it comes to dealing with money to deal with the racial wealth gap problem, the people say money's not going to help. You even got people like Umar Johnson, who's getting a live stream coming up in a couple days, who says stuff like that. Now, if I got a bunch of 2x4s to help with the racial wealth gap, is that going to help with the racial wealth gap? Why is it that most forms of payment are paid in the most liquid form of currency? Why is that? That's my question. Liquidity is very important. So now, when it comes to reparations and slavery and all of that, right? We all know that that is directly related to the large distance of the racial wealth gap, as well as related to the acceleration of the racial wealth gap. The lack of money. So if the lack of money is the problem, then why would you not pay that back with money? If you're thirsty, would you accept salt in lieu of water? Is my question for you guys. If you're dying of thirst and somebody says, well, I don't want to give away water, I'm going to give you some salt because your body needs sodium. Does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, does it? What if somebody gave you a canister of helium if you didn't have enough oxygen and you were dying of hypoxia? Your body needs a small amount of helium, so I'm going to give you this instead of oxygen. Does that make sense? if there's a wealth gap, what is causing that wealth gap? That means that some people don't have the same amount of wealth as other people. What comprises of that wealth? Resources and assets. What kind of resources and assets? Now, there's a couple ways that the racial wealth gap could be dealt with. All of these people claim to have so much of issues with giving away handouts. Okay, cool. Let's take away some of your stuff then. That's one way we could deal with it, right? Because all of this is dealing with numbers, right? So how about 50% of adosos, right? Lineage based. It's got to be lineage based, right? Because we came with the lineage based argument about reparations, right? So let's do the lineage based argument about adosos. Lineage based adosos should have to forego 75% of their wealth to the United States government. I bet you people will have a problem with that too. What people need to understand is it doesn't matter whether it's giving reparations or whether it's taking parts of adoso business. They have a problem with you. Which is why they'll say something that makes absolutely no sense with their chest poked all the way out. Because the problem isn't we're going to have to give away money. The problem isn't, oh, well, they can't take away our businesses. The problem is they hate you. And here goes the thing. We should take away from them. If they justify slavery and say that slavery is a justifiable evil because it built the United States, well, then taking your money is a justifiable evil because I got to live. You know what I'm saying? Give me the loot. Like Biggie said. Like 50 said, oh, is that what you bought for me? This is America. Is this what you built for me? That's what they're looking at us like, because we built America. Is this what you built for us? And shout out to Carla. Carla says they don't have a valid reason for hating us. Any reason is valid for them to hate us, if you ask me. Just like any reason for us is valid for us to hate them. It is what it is. If that's what they want to operate on, we just need to understand that that's what they're operating on and deal with it accordingly. Chill, homie. Let me do that. Man, listen, all this walking is hurting my feet. Where my reparations? Yo, in that Isuzu Jeep. They in that Isuzu Jeep. That's what them stick-up kids be looking like. Where my reparations at? Hey, yo, in the Isuzu Jeep. That's how FBA people need to sound. Man, listen. 2 damn jobs is hurting my feet. Where my reparations at? In the Isuzu Jeep. So let's see what Biden is talking about. Because I'm going to tell you something, man. But anything that Biden is selling, it's not worth buying. It's not worth buying. It's not worth the ticket price. And the Democrats have to be taught a lesson. And the lesson that they have to be taught is that You come to us with some good product, or we send you back home with nothing. And the Republicans getting sent home with nothing every time anyway, because they got a lot of ground to make up with all of the anti-blackness that they've been doing since their inception. So, you know, they just don't get a pass at all, or of their own doing. You know what I'm saying? People got to go into this kind of stuff with the mind state and determination to win. Come into these kind of conversations, come into these kind of situations with the mind state of winning, not with a negotiation mind state. And also have a backup plan to be able to execute strategy and have all your receipts, all your ducks, all your ducats in a row. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the Biden administration is touting economic programs geared toward minority-owned businesses as Black and Hispanic voters show increasing disaffection towards Democrats following a year of higher consumer prices and soaring rents. So now let's ask the question, why is it that we can never get an article about ourselves? Why is it that we have to be coupled with everything? I'm going to tell you why we have to be coupled with everything. Because it's not us printing the articles. When we get a brick and mortar or online media company that's printing the articles, unless you're a Democrat shill that's getting mad government assistance like Roland Martin, you determine how you print these articles, and you can cut the other group of people out. I think it's an absurd and ridiculous expectation for media outlets that we know exist solely for the reason of deranging our internal politics to speak about anything involving us clearly. We got to understand what we're dealing with. Would you guys agree? You got to understand that if we're not producing this media is supposed to confuse and derange what we're doing. So they're never going to talk about anything straightforward. We need to stop relying on WS media to deliver accurate information. I think that there's a lot of people that expect B1 media from WS media, which is absolutely insane. We expect clarity. We expect accurate information. No, that's the kind of media that's going to do something that's going to help you, empower you. That's not what this media is for. This media is for the opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? This media is never going to give you any good information. They're never going to show us in a positive light. That's what we need to do. We need to build a media that does exactly that. Build our own archive of information. Tell our own stories. Reliance on WS institutions will ultimately be the imprisonment and downfall of many people. But you can't tell anybody everything. Sometimes people got to find out for themselves. But the clock is ticking. You know what I'm saying? The clock is ticking. So now here it says recent pollings indicate Black, Hispanic, and voters of other backgrounds may be turning away from President Biden. A New York Times Siena poll released earlier this month found that 22%, look at this, 22% of black voters in 6 key battleground states would choose former President Trump in next year's election over Biden. Look at this. After all of the work that, black content creators and black media have been doing, still only 22%, according to this New York Times poll. Let me ask you guys this question. Why do you think that is? Only 22%. Why? Shout out to DSB. What's good with it, bro? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please make sure you take a moment and hit that bell. We only need 7 more likes to get over 100. I know we can do it. While that number still favors Biden in absolute terms, it's a huge increase for Republicans over the historical baseline. Now, again, people should not fall for the trick bag, right? Because Republicans are expecting the same trick bag. People got to show a little bit more restraint. People got to start organizing and being a little bit more strategic. And another thing that people got to stop doing is stop looking to WS options as alternatives and ultimatums. Please freaking stop. You know what I'm saying? People got to stop with that shit. If we're going to sit here and say no tangibles, no vote, why would we vote for a Republican simply because they're not a Democrat? That Republican better have something on the table that works for us. Do we need to talk about the birds and the bees and all the downsides of giving it up for free? You know what I'm saying? For real. We got to reach more people. I got to agree with Deneen. Voting Republican is not a flex unless you're getting something out of it. Unless you're getting something substantially beneficial, right? But the Republicans are simply banking on black people being disgruntled from Democrats, and they're expecting the revenge vote. Because remember, I want you guys to understand how this works. The Republicans have been pushing the narrative that black people grow up in single-parent households, and as a result of growing up with their mothers, we're emotional, which every black person didn't grow up in a single-parent household. And everybody that grows up in a single-parent household isn't necessarily emotional. But remember, this is Republican rhetoric. And these people are liars, and they believe their own rhetoric. So they're sitting back, rubbing their hands together like baby, talking about these emotional blacks. They're just going to vote for us out of spite. Because they're emotional people that don't think or organize anyway. And I don't know why there seems to be such a dedication to proving things that people say right. But that's what these numbers show. And I agree. I agree, Tedra, 100%. Tedra said, I hate when I hear people say you can't complain if you don't vote. There's a whole, you can complain if you don't vote. You pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? Whether you vote or not, those politicians are still working for you. there's a particular way I want to talk about that kind of rebuttal. You can't complain because you can do whatever you want to. Make no mistake about that. You can do whatever you want to. You can never ever vote and complain. You can be in jail serving a sentence and complain about politics. You can literally do whatever you want to. Those people who come with those kind of arguments, you can't complain if you don't vote. That is a bullshit tactic for people that are too stupid to articulate the point that's facing them. So they want to try to use shaming tactics and make you feel bad that you may not have voted or whatever. Never feel bad about anything. You feel what I'm saying? Now, if you ask me, what like I've always said, extra look at the AIPAC. How many people know what the AIPAC is? My question for you guys is the AIPAC an extra political mean? Let me know in the comment section. What do people complain about the most? Yeah, facts, Val. It's some burrito organization. What do people complain about the most? Oh, the lobbyists. Oh, the tech companies. Oh, the special interest groups. Oh, big pharma. That's what people complain about. All of those are extra political means. Extra political means are the way. We don't have any pathway plans or pathway strategies. And I hate to say this, but it doesn't seem like people are interested in formulating that kind of stuff. Dr. Claude Anderson is one of the few people that did it. See, because Powernomics is an extra political mean. And Powernomics actually has a pathway with solutions in it. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, you don't really see these things being put into prototype and then into production. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to have some type of weapons. We got to have some type of tools. And nobody's really saying what to build or how to build them. And people, in many cases, aren't asking those questions. And if people aren't saying that or aren't asking about it, what that tells me is that people don't see a necessity for it. People don't see a necessity for it, but then 2 seconds later, when they see something like the ADL railing some black person, they'll say, we need our own ADL. And then it just gets quiet again. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And if I got to be forced to be honest, I can't gauge exactly what it is that people want based on what I see on social media, based on what I see in forums. The Congressional Black Caucus, no, those are politicians, bro. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre said, is CBC supposed to be an extra political mean? CBC is a political mean, which is one of the reasons why they're so damn corrupt. Because let's not get it twisted. The Congressional Black Caucus is not only corrupt, but they take the taxpayer dollars, set up shell organizations, and then pay their relatives hell of amounts of money. Cori Bush does the same shit. All these politicians use their political power to create vehicles to bring. Shout out to my man Adrian Hicks. What's good with it, bro? Adrian Hicks got some good information for y'all, man. Y'all got to check out this shit that me and Adrian was talking about last night. Now that actually kind of ties into what we're talking about right here. You know what I'm saying? But again, here's my question. I understand the no vote, right? But now here's my question. Don't you think that no vote would be more impactful if it was no vote with extra political means? So we got extra political means, and now we just saying we backing out. We just not even dealing with the vote. We just about to use our extra political means to get more resources and power. But we don't have a network or a system of extra political means. We got to build businesses. We got to take over tech sectors. We got to buy assets, resources, land. What percentage of natural resources do we have or do we own? We got to start looking at markets, taking snapshots, getting stock ownership in some of these businesses. Let me ask you guys a question. How many people like the projects? If y'all like the projects, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't like the projects, give me a thumbs down. I bet you them people in Bronx River didn't like living in the project while Hassan Campbell was out there having a full-on schizophrenic meltdown. Now, if people don't like the projects, I got a question for you. If we had extra political means and a lot of financial resources, we could buy them up, turn them into super libraries, turn them into super schools, turn them into super universities. Shout out to my man Zip. Yo, Zip, I'm going to text you. I'm going to tell you the whole story. I'm going to text you on Friday, bro. But I got issues with my phone. I thought I was going to be able to hit you up, but my other number don't have an international calling plan on it. You know what I'm saying? But I got you, though. I ain't forget. I'm glad you here. Because I'm like, man, I hope he don't think I was blowing him off. You know what I'm saying? DeAndre said, leave the projects alone. That's hilarious. You can still get Grimy up in there with some books on the shelf. You know what I'm saying? You never had you a library episode? And that's what I'm saying. I agree. Now, the reason why I say if people don't like the projects, right, is because the problem with the projects is that they are not what they're advertised to be. The projects aren't helping anybody. They're creating a lot of stagnation and creating a lot of individuals who will never be able to reach their full potential. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I ain't gonna lie, man. I once a blue moon, man. You know what I'm saying? I used to kick it in the projects. I had a couple of my people stayed over there. You know what I'm saying? Back when I was younger, you know what I'm saying? A couple of late night creeps. But it's wild over there, though, in many cases. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Adrian. Adrian says, I'm going to say something controversial and mention that we don't have enough resources to take over in several sectors, even if we have enough to take over one. I agree, bro. I agree. And make it a very impactful one that we focus on. That's so important. So important. You know what I'm saying? All that, like the contract for Black America and all that Ice Cube made, like that's cool. But all of that leads back to wheeling and dealing with the government. How long have we been trying to wheel and deal with the government? Let me ask you, I mean, I really want to know the answer to this question. What is people's limit of nonsense? How long would you allow somebody to pull your string? How long would you allow somebody to play with you? After what amount of time do y'all say, you know what, enough bullshit is enough? That's my question. Me personally, it depends on the degree of bullshit. And it depends on the type of bullshit. Because bullshit got levels to it. You know what I'm saying? Bullshit has levels to it. It's the same thing as like crime. Like there's class A bullshit. Class A bullshit is annoying, but it's not like, you know, something you can deal with. Class B bullshit, now that shit might cause an argument. You know what I'm saying? Class C bullshit, I ain't gonna mess with you now. You know what I'm saying? We're done. Class D bullshit, there's gonna be an altercation. So my question is, in our political ventures with the United States, what level of bullshit are we dealing with, and how long are we willing to engage with the bullshit before we start engaging in ending the bullshit? See, because right now, even with all of the political talk and everybody got their chest out, we ain't voting and all that shit, voting or not voting is still dealing with the American political system. Would you guys agree? Whether you vote or you don't vote, both of those are political statements, right? Because the same way people tell us to vote, we have the right to not vote. Those are intertwined. It's like the yin and the yang. And I got to agree with DeAndre. Shout out to Jay. What's good with it, bro? DeAndre said it's been a high amount of BS from the jump. It's time to deal with it, in my opinion. Facts. And now, I want you guys to pay very close attention. Like on the geopolitical scale, look at what China and Russia have done to put themselves into a position of where they're not necessarily as affected by United States dollar hegemony. In the United States, we need to pay attention to that model, and we need to deal with WS hegemony. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Adrian. Adrian said correct. Either way, it's capitulation to a game that we didn't create and are not good at playing. I agree. Shout out to Jada Informant. 7 stream sponsor with the 149 super chat. Make sure you guys show him some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat. Appreciate you, bro. So now it has to come in the form of a combo, if you ask me. It has to come in the form of a combo. You got to follow up the jab with a hook. You got to follow up the uppercut with a straight right. You got to do something. No vote, if you ask me, is just a jab. Like, it's just a jab. Unless you like John Jones or Anderson Silva or Mike Tyson, you ain't knocking nobody out with a jab. You know what I'm saying? Facts, Adrian. You see how Adrian got that number 1 right there? Number 1, no vote. That means that there got to be other bullet points. Number 2, number 3. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he's saying by that. See, he got number 2 right here. Register as an independent. So see, he's got a plan. And if you ask me, more people got to have a plan. I don't disagree with the no voting thing, right? I don't disagree with it. But what I'm saying is that no voting with a plan coupled with it would hit harder. You know what I'm saying? If you just jab somebody, it's not really going to work. But if you fake and you hit them with a cross, you know what I'm saying? And then you come with the uppercut, that's going to hit them harder. And that's what it's about, is coming with the most effective and powerful impact with the actions that are done. Because those are the only ways that we're going to be able to make any noise. We got to come with plans that got phases. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. That's what actual leaders should be doing. That's what military leaders do. Military leaders say, we're about to do Operation Firestorm. Phase 1, we're going to secure the perimeter. Phase 2, we're going to breach the hull. Phase 3, we're going to locate and lock down all the weapons. Stage 4, we're going to take over the controls. Stage 5, we're going to get all of the crew and round them up and put them over here. Stage 6, we're going to bring back the tanker that we captured back home. We got to have phases. We got to have an actual plan. And my thing is that in a lot of stuff, I don't really see plans and strategy. Not that, you know, nobody can come up with one. I think people should. I think the plan of expecting there to be some type of civil negotiation with the people who have literally been telling us no for things that we haven't been asking. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what anybody expects from that. You know what I'm saying? I think people are stuck in the mind state of expecting the minimum. I demand the maximum, and you guys should too. Shout out to my man JB Easy. What's good with it, bro? You guys should too. Anytime you go into a job interview, what's the highest end of the salary that they ask for? Ask for that. I want the highest salary because I'm the best candidate. If you're hiring me because I'm the best candidate, then pay me the best rate that you got to offer. That makes sense, right? Why would you, if I'm the best candidate, which is why you hired me, then why would I accept a mid-level pay? I'm not a mid-level candidate. The mid-level guy didn't get hired. I'm the best guy. I got hired. Give me the best pay. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, sometimes people kind of get in their feelings or kind of start feeling weird or something like that. Man, listen, what I'll tell you what's weird is if you're the best person for a job and you're not getting paid the best. We're the best people that built the United States. Clearly, we were the most qualified because we were chosen by the Adosos for slavery, but we didn't get compensated the best. Not expecting superior compensation is literally the epitome of selling yourself not only short, but selling yourself out. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, if you ask me, people got to come with, they got to train their brain. People got to come with a new paradigm. Got to get rid of all this humble nonsense. Nah, you got to be cocky. You got to be confident. You got to have nerves of steel. People will try to play games with you. People try to play, chicken or whatever. I think that we are a lot more capable of doing a lot more damage than people give us credit for. Because if you listen to most of the people that talk about this kind of stuff, most of the people that talk about this kind of stuff talk about the people that they're talking to like you're watching Fox News. A lot of times people may say, oh, you kind of come with Rob, you kind of come with the bullshit. You can be kind of rough about certain shit. The reason why I come rough about certain shit is because I expect greatness. I don't expect mediocrity. I don't buy into that nonsense, that pro-black coon bullshit where you got these pro-blacks trying to use white supremacist language to shame people. I don't buy into that shit. I'm not Umar Johnson. I don't think that that people are ill-minded. I think that you're intelligent. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say the shit that I say. Somebody will give you simple solutions if they think that you're not capable of doing complex actions. I know that everybody's capable of doing complex actions. It's mind over matter. It's attrition. It's long-term vision and willpower. You know what I'm saying? I would never say that black people don't need reparations because you're too ill-minded to spend your money. That's insane. That is insane. Like, that shit is wild. What if your employer said, we're not giving you your paycheck this week because you're too ill-minded to pay your bills? Are you serious? Man, listen, man. Let my job tell me some shit like that. I'm going to the car and pop in the trunk. I'm straight going to the car and pop in the trunk. Man, I ain't even trying to hear none of that. Y'all better have my money. There were black people during slavery that created art forms and tools and inventions that are still in use today. Now, as far as Umar Johnson goes and quote unquote black people being ill-minded, well, if you look at the psychological stats of the United States and how many people have an opioid epidemic, how many people suffer from anxiety, how many people suffer from depression, it would seem to me that the majority of the United States is ill-minded. Oh, I'm going to say it 2 more times. The majority of the United States is ill-minded. I said the majority of the United States is ill-minded. And when I say ill-minded, I mean they actually are ill-minded to the point where you can look up the shit that they have in the DSM-5. Nobody's sitting here saying that they shouldn't get any money, any of their money that they get. Right. Shout out to Jacoby. Like Rihanna said, pay me what you owe me. Go up to Joe Biden. Bitch better have my money. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do the remix of that video with Rihanna with a big ass shotgun and ASAP Rocky holding the baby walking behind her. Oh, man. Man, oh, man. Woo-wee. You know what I'm saying? So now here it said Trump won only 12% of the vote from Black Americans in 2020 and just 8% in 2016, according to the Roper Center for Public Opinion Research at Cornell University, citing exit polling data from CNN and CBS News. The Times Siena poll had 42% of Hispanic voters in swing states leaning towards Trump, okay? And 50% leaning towards Biden. So I want you guys to look at this. Now, the Democrats are breaking their back for Latino people. And look at the direction that the Latino people are going. Think about this. The Latino people are going in that direction. And the Democrats are making it so that the undocumented bros can just come here and really boost their population numbers. Think about that. Look at how the Democrats are so stupid, how they hustling backwards. They're hustling backwards to bring in a majority of people that only rock with them 50% of the time. People like us should see stuff like that and take heed to it and say, you know what, man, these people don't appreciate it. Nothing that we got to offer. They don't appreciate nothing we got to offer. Their voting patterns don't justify the amount of support that they're getting. Do they? I want to ask you guys that question. Do the Latino voting numbers support the amount of support that the Democrats are giving them? If it does, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, then give me a thumbs down. If you ask me, it doesn't. And if you ask me, these should be the very last remnants of Black Democrat loyalty. When people put the microphone in front of your face, if you out in public, let them know, hey, that shit done. That shit's done, son. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean it's done? Oh, yeah, I mean it's done. We done. We done. Done with Democrats. You know what I'm saying? So now here said the 2020 breakdown for Hispanic voters, according to the Roper Center, was 65% for Biden and 32% for Trump. 51% of voters from other non-white racial backgrounds, which again, some Hispanics are white in racial background. So again, how do you even calculate these polls? You know what I'm saying? How do you even calculate those polls? Speaking at the Congressional Black Caucus Legislative Forum in Washington in September, former U.S. Senate candidate for Alabama and nonprofit executive Brandon Dean asked a panel of wealthy businesses led by Representative Maxine Waters whether the very concept of black capitalism was a myth. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why the concern with quote unquote black capitalism? I think black people should use black capitalism to get paid. However, just make sure that the black capitalism isn't empowering WS. Make sure that your black capitalism is empowering other black people. And if your black capitalism isn't only specifically dealing with black people, make sure that the entities that you are dealing with have a solid commitment to what you're doing, and make sure that you have a means of giving consequences if they break suit. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, do you believe that black wealth has a sympathetic effect in black community, black networks, and in black spaces? And is black capitalism as much of a myth as it would seem to be for those who have inherited their power? He said, addressing a crowd of hundreds gathered in the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Funding is being pushed by the Biden administration. Now, new moves. Look, I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. All right. And if you guys see any information about this stuff that I'm about to talk about, please make sure you drop it in the Discord or tag me in it on some social media, IG, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, also, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, make sure you guys take a moment and hit the bell. We got 72 people watching. Shout out to everybody that's watching, and 102 likes. Let's try to get it to 150. We can do that. Now, new moves to fund businesses and entrepreneurs in communities of color are gaining momentum. So I want you guys to pay very close attention, which is not something that we need to continue to point out because we already now know that the media is just always going to do this. But as you can see, this article is about black people. Yet, now when they start talking about what's being done, they start talking about communities of color. If you're not talking about light skin and dark skin, I don't know what type of communities of color you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But they're talking about communities of color, not just black people. So we've switched from talking about black people to the communities of color. Community development lending programs, small business grants, initiatives on minority depository institutions, and lines of credit for inclusive entrepreneurship are all getting the hard sell from the Treasury Department as support for the Democrats among minority voting blocs shows signs of faltering. Now, I hate to say this, right? But this is one of the reasons why we need extra political means. Because with extra political means, what we need to do is run interference and block all of this shit. If it's not specifically for us, ain't nobody getting it. Hit the button. Hit the red button. Because that's what everybody else does. For too long, people have stood at the back of the line and gladly accepted the bread crust while everybody else got the good pieces of bread. We've taken so many bread crusts over the last centuries while everybody else ate the good parts of the loaf. It's time for us to start taking the loaf. You've been snacking on these good pieces of bread for centuries. It's time for y'all to see what the crust tastes like now. It's good if you dip it in some soup, assuming you can afford soup. Because if you can, we definitely gonna sue the shit out you and keep your shit locked up in litigation. So you can get that full flavor of that hard-ass bread crust and the heels of the bread. But see, I don't think that many people are at the point of where they can just knee-jerk move like that. There'll be some type of internal struggle with morality. Oh, that's just so mean. Nobody said that's just so mean when they was whooping ass. Nobody said that that was just so mean when a pit bull was hanging off one of our grandparents or uncles or aunts' arms. No one said that. When it comes to what happens with us, no one's ever says that's messed up. Anytime anything happens to us, everybody always says they deserve it because they're breathing. Well, you breathe too, which means that it's time for you to start getting stuff because you breathe. When people start moving like that, y'all will see a change quick. And then you'll wonder, why did it take so long for people to start moving like this? You ask yourself that question. Why did it take so long, man? You ever done that? You ever been like sitting on a decision that you was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this shit. I don't know, this kind of risky. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. And then one day you just finally cut the cord. You pull the rip cord. I'm just going ahead and do this shit. Then you finally do it, and it's like, man, well, I could have done that months ago. Why didn't I do it? Why not bust this out? Why didn't get this out the way? It wasn't even that bad. I'm telling y'all, man. That right there is what's going to change the dynamic. It's just a matter of people actually doing it. It's just a matter of people actually doing it. Oh, yeah. The New York, what was that? New York Times did an article about that. Shout out to Jacoby. Jacoby said, I know here in Portland, Oregon, they did a C-19 relief bill for Black Americans, and one Latino and one white person filed a lawsuit and stalled it in litigation. Yep, that happens all the time. I did a video about it. TD Hip Hop Media did a video about it. I'm pretty sure a couple other people did content about it. Yep. That's why people shouldn't. I understand, and I don't want to sound messed up saying this, right? I understand the importance of history, and I understand that people need to understand our history and understand how important it is and how many things came to be the way that they came to be, right? But I want to tell people this. People should not just be students of history to be outraged about the past and how the past has determined the present. But people should be students of history to look at the strategies that were used against us, to use those same strategies to defend ourselves. In most cases, when I look at history or when I read stuff about what happened in the past, I don't get caught up in the, oh, those people hate us. I don't care. I don't need to be loved or liked. I want to know what the end game was. Why are they doing this? Divide and conquer. I see now. I see now. Why are they doing this? Intimidation. Intimidation rituals. Okay. Okay, I got you. I see you. Okay. Why are they moving like this? To maintain control of the businesses. I got you. Okay. Okay. All right. I see you over there. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's what people should be getting out of that. So now here it says, last month, the administration announced a $3 billion commitment from a group of companies and philanthropies for money lending institutions working to make historic investments in underserved communities. Now, let me ask you guys a question. I think that one of the questions that Black people should start asking and start popularizing is, what event took place in the United States that caused a Latino wealth gap? Because what are you being compensated for? There's events that took place that caused a Black racial wealth gap, a Black-white racial wealth gap, right? But now my question is, what event caused the Latino racial wealth gap? Is the United States responsible for it? Did it take place here? Latinos, like American Cholo, they got the nerve to sit there and say that Black people don't deserve reparations. You know what I'm saying? But now, why do you all have a racial wealth gap? Let's examine that. Let's examine that. Why does any other group have a racial wealth gap? What has the United States done to other groups of people to cause a racial wealth gap? How many years of slavery? How many years of Jim Crow did other groups of people face? I want to know how many years of Jim Crow Asians faced. I want to know how many times some burritos get racially profiled by the police. That's what I want to know. Does anybody know? So now, if you look at this article right here, this article is saying that Black Americans are likely audited at higher rates. Like, we out here just doing it up. We out here just making all kind of money. Why are Black Americans getting audited at higher rates than other groups of people if we have far less money than other people? We got less money. The people with all the money should be the ones getting audited. Oh, that's right. The people with the money got the relatives who run the world. So those people aren't going to audit people like them. They got to have a scapegoat group. See, like, we don't have no coalition. We have scapegoat politics. And any of these groups that claim to have a coalition with us, you know who they are. The Sombreritos, the brown and black. We're a scapegoat group. They get the benefits and we get the blame. We need to stop calling these black and brown coalitions and just truncate it. Call it the B&B coalition. The blame and bullshit coalitions, because that's all that they do. Blame and bullshit. Here goes some blame for why you ain't getting shit, and here goes some bullshit for why we're taking everything. You don't have to do business like that if you got extra political means. Your business partners make up your coalition. I'm going to come in here with 3 executives in my legal team. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the new private sector commitments announced today will maximize the Biden-Harris administration's investments in expanding access to capital in, look at this, low-income, rural, and other underserved communities. So what happened to black people? What happened to the black people? Which increased long-term productivity and economic growth, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said. The Treasury has also been publicizing federal grants worth $75 million for legal, accounting, and financial advisory services for small business, as well as private credit lines worth $80 million for entrepreneurs of color. Again, this says nothing specific about black people, so don't bite. Anybody in the comment section want to school DeAndre about what a sombrerito is? Let him know. It's not something that you put salsa on. I'll give you a hint. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says entrepreneurs of color represent the fastest growing segment of the small business market. Now, within that segment of entrepreneurs of color, how many are black? Notice how they didn't put that statistic up? That's important. And that's an important question to ask. And there's nothing wrong with asking that question, because that question ties directly into the likelihood of you not only being eligible, but being able to get some of this money. So for somebody to sit there saying, well, don't ask about race. I'm asking about race. I'm asking about race. I'm asking about race because you considered race when you created these policies. That's why I'm asking about race. Yet they have the least access to capital and are more likely to be denied credit and are more likely to pay high interest rates and are less likely to apply for loans out of fear of being denied. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What people of color feared being denied a loan? There's no history of people of color being denied loans. There's a history of black people specifically and only being denied loans. These other people have community banks, which is one of the things that we got to get. We got to get community banks. Now, if you ask me, there needs to be multiple claims of reparations. Multiple claims of reparations. That's why I don't understand why people get into these arguments and fights about different reparations. Shit, we need all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You will see like people talking about reparations, and you got all these back and forth fighting going on in the comment section. Oh, well, you know, the state shouldn't be paying no reparations. The reparations should come from the Fed. The reparations should come from everywhere, including the private sector. Everywhere. The government, the private sector, the state, and specific government agencies. How can you possibly get in a fight about where reparations should come from when, take your pick, that part of the United States has violated us in some way? Make it make sense, man. If you ask me, anytime you see people fighting about that kind of stuff, anytime you see like any of that weirdo stuff, that's a red flag, man. Because like I said, as far as I'm concerned, we deserve all the reparations from everywhere, everywhere. Slavery ain't the only thing that happened to us. If you ask me, if we stop at slavery reparations, we selling ourselves short of our experience, our historical experience here in the United States. It's all kind of shit these motherfuckers did and didn't even offer an apology. You know what I mean? We need them. We need y'all to come up off that from multiple different sectors, because y'all just decided to be so abusive in multiple different ways. And now it's time to pay one way or the other. One way or the other. That's why anytime you talk about this kind of stuff, they start feeling some type of way. You know what I'm saying? You start talking about reparations, they're going to start feeling some type of way for real. So now, here it says an October report from the Treasury analyzing foreclosure rates on home and credit delinquency among, of course, it can't just be us, Black and Hispanic Americans. Where's the pictures of some Hispanic Americans at in this? Here go one person right here. Oh, here go another one. Who they put on the headline? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. An October report from the Treasury analyzing foreclosure rates on homes and credit delinquency among Black and Hispanic Americans, as well as other economic factors, declared that the recovery from the C-19 pandemic was the most quote-unquote equitable in recent history. So now, again, is there a difference between equitable and reparative? I don't want to hear the word equitable ever again. I've heard it enough for my entire lifetime. That's an experience I can completely delete from now until my last day on the planet, and I'll be totally okay with it. Anytime they talk about stuff specific for us, if you ask me, it should say reparative, what it's repairing, how it's repairing, how it's getting repaired, and who's getting it. There is no equity in the United States. There's none. If there was equity, there would be no racial wealth gap. There would be a racial wealth continuum of equality, and there's not. There never has been, and there never will be. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, but doubts about an equitable and benevolent role for the government in supporting the private sector within marginalized communities are still firmly held by many entrepreneurs. While the government can inspire and create policies that make the game more fair, the reality is that the government can't close the racial wealth gap itself, and it doesn't want to. The government could close the racial wealth gap. Are you serious? The government prints the money, print the amount of money of the racial wealth gap and pay it out to the people you owe it to. The same way you print it out and send it overseas to your country of choice that has blue in their flag, regardless of which one, the one in Europe or the one in the Middle East. Are you serious? So now here it says public access to private capital makes a difference for minority business owners. So now I don't think that we need to read any more of this. And the reason why I don't think that we need to read any more of this is because it really goes deep into the black and brown coalition stuff. And it gets into some technical stuff about capital loans and personal lines of credit and different things like that. But I want you guys to pay very close attention to what you're seeing and what you just read, what you just heard. What you saw is Biden scrambles to reassure Black and Latino voters. Some ask if the wealth gap can be fixed. First question we got to ask is, why is there a Latino wealth gap? And who is being considered as part of the Latino wealth gap? Because how do you measure a racial wealth gap with Hispanic people when Hispanic isn't a race? How do you do that? Who out of the Hispanic people are being measured when it comes to measuring a quote unquote Hispanic racial wealth gap? How is that even possible? How do you take a group comprised of white people, black people, and mixed people and somehow turn that into a race and then measure it against an actual singular race? How do you do that? How does that mathematically work out? Why is there a Latino wealth gap? Now, second question. Biden is not scrambling to reassure black voters of anything. Biden is scrambling to repackage the same Democrat trick bag that they've always given out. Because as I read this article here that's saying that Biden wants to reassure black voters, the only thing that Biden is reassuring by coming up with these programs is that the Democrats are still using the same tactics. That's the only reassurance that I got out of that article. And it doesn't matter what the WS media says. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here. We had 7 stream sponsors today. Shout out to y'all. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for the stream sponsors. We got my man AB Promotion with the $1.99 super chat. Shout out to Edward Berry for being a channel member for 12 months. Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug with the $5 super chat. Shout out to my man Lloyd Sky 9 for being a member for 9 months. Shout out to Katsy for being a member for 13 months. Shout out to my man Lloyd Sky 9 with the $5 super chat. And shout out to my man Jada Informant with the $1.49 super chat. Without you all, there would be no me. Y'all could have been anywhere, but y'all chose to come and check out the stream. It would be great to see all of y'all at 3 o'clock on Reacts. But if not, I understand. but I want you guys to understand this.
Life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour. Got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on TV, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Hold up.